Okay, so we're gonna do the Dame Dash thing, right?
Yeah, and I kind of want to touch on something else after that too.
What?
There's this new app out called Meerkat. It's supposed to be like Snapchat, Twitter, but it's pretty interesting. I think people would like to know how that can affect some stuff.
And anything else?
I mean, maybe we can just have it organic. But if something come up, it do. That's usually how we roll anyway.
Cause that Dame Dash thing is gonna be. I got so much to say about that. I do. Invest in yourself. Okay, you ready?
You ready, CP?
Let's go.
Please, baby, come on home.
Good, everybody. Welcome back to the Brent Money and Life podcast. This is your host, Dr. Eric Patrick, the Hip Hop Stock Doc. We want to thank you for tuning in. We thank you for continuing to check out our website, which is www.thebmex. That's THEBMEX.com. Make sure you sign up for our email list. Check us out on Instagram at black_market_exchange and Twitter at BMEX_. Don't forget to check us out on SoundCloud, Facebook, YouTube. You can all search by Black Market Exchange and get all of our content. I'm here with
At Carter Park. And check us out also on YouTube. Subscribe. Check out all the videos, and all the links are on YouTube as well. Check us out on SoundCloud. And here we go with Brent Money and Life. So, a couple of weeks back, the infamous Dame Dash appeared on the Breakfast
I wish
Club.
you could see me with my champagne bottles right now. You know, champagne Dame, you know.
And my shades on. Yo. The reason why we're going to talk about this today is because Dame Dash has a valid message. And that message is investing in yourself. But he has a very, very unique way of getting his point across, dude.
Unique might be an understatement. I mean, for lack of better words, the man is brash, but you know, his intentions are there. They're there.
His intentions are good, but you know, I think that the way he delivers it clouds the message. Because his message is you need to invest in yourself. We talk about that all the time on this podcast, that you need to invest in yourself, right? So the things that you're spending on frivolously, that can be an investment in yourself. But when I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start the podcast off like this. When you say that somebody's boss is their daddy, you're not going to get anybody to listen to you, man.
And let's run it back real quick for some of the listeners. In case you haven't heard, Dame Dash was on, I think it's Power 105, The Breakfast Club, with DJ Envy, Charlamagne, and Angela Yee. And man, it was one for the ages.
One for the ages. Murder Mook was on there with him, and OG Daniel. The most OGest of OGs I've ever seen.
Right. Now, if any of you remember that Kanye West Sway in the Morning segment, where he was like, it ain't Ralph though, like, it was almost on that level.
It was like, it ain't rock though,
right. So basically, Dame Dash, he comes in, he's always talking about putting up your own money. If you don't pay for it 100%, you don't own it. If somebody pays for something, if somebody comes in and helps you pay for something, then they're your boss. And so him and DJ Envy kind of got into a little back and forth there, because DJ Envy was like, I mean, I'm investing, I got my own cash, but Dame was like, but you work for somebody, you got a boss.
But what kills me though is Dame didn't give the secret on how to start capital. He didn't give the secret on where do you get the capital from to start your own business. That's the key point. That's the thing about Dame Dash's message. I love Dame Dash's message. I don't know him personally, but you got to tell people where to get the capital from.
Yeah.
And that's what Envy was saying. Envy was saying, yo, I'm going to work every day. This may not happen in my generation, but my kids will be able to benefit off this capital I'm earning today. And Dame Dash was killing him.
Yeah. And even if it's like, you know, Envy tried to give the example, what if it's a kid, let's say they didn't go to college, or if they did go to college and graduated. It's kind of like, I want to do my own business. how do I start that? Where do I get the funding? Do I take out a loan to get the money? Do I where do I get the money?
Well, according to Dame Dash, if you take out a loan, then you're a sucker.
Exactly. So it's kind of like that's the one caveat with Dame that sometimes I personally don't really understand, because I feel like he never truly answers that question. Now, I'm not saying he's got to say what he did to get the money, but at least kind of give some solution, because you can't present a problem without having a solution.
Yeah, and DJ Envy was saying, what's wrong with working, you know? And Dame Dash, he made a valid point. He was like, well, you got to ask somebody when you want to take off, when you want to spend time with your family, which is true. But if I want to earn this capital and I want to do it, and this is the only way that I know how, I don't see what's wrong with having a job to raise capital so I can invest in stocks, so I can invest. Because Envy mentioned that. Envy mentioned that, yo, I own shares in this company. Whether he owns shares in the company, I don't know. But that's a wise thing for you guys to do. If you're working at a job, if you're working at a 9 to 5, right, and your company is publicly traded on the stock exchange, 9 times out of 10 there is a ESPP, an employee stock purchase plan there that you can invest in. They take it out of your check, you never see it, you can do whatever amount of money you want to, and you can earn shares in that company. You're working there, you're performing hard, you might as well own a piece of it. And then, you know what? Proxy time comes and they send you a letter. You get to vote on, if you own shares in the company, 9 times out of 10, your proxy counts. And what a proxy is a vote on the things, the direction that the company is moving into.
And so does that take away from boss status? Because in essence, you don't have a majority stake in the company, but you still have ownership stake. I mean, we mentioned about Jay-Z owning a piece of the Brooklyn Nets before. He might not have been a majority owner, but does that decrease the boss status that he has?
No, it didn't, because Jay-Z turned the Nets around. Jay-Z he was a minority owner in the New Jersey Nets, but his input was so valuable that it made the New Jersey Nets what it was, you know, and what it is today. It's in Brooklyn. The Barclays Center got built.
They ain't that great, but they still filling out seats.
They filling up seats. The uniforms look good. People, and let's talk about the Barclays Center itself. It's in Brooklyn. Brooklyn is in the midst of a revitalization. It's money coming into that economy. It's plenty of jobs that are being made within that urban environment.
And if I'm not mistaken, the Barclays is an investment firm, isn't it? Kind of like a Goldman Sachs.
You know,
they're
like a broker dealer. You know, they're a broker dealer, and they deal with investments. So touche. That, you know,
exactly. It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. It comes around full circle. Like we were talking to you guys, saying that investments are all around you. You can't escape them. You can't get away from them. They're all around you every day, all day. But to this Dame Dash situation, I just don't see why that if you say I have to gain capital by going to work every day, why is that a bad thing?
Yeah, and even then, what if you are striving to do something on your own, but maybe you're going to set yourself a plan? If you think about it, a great program is Khan Academy. Khan Academy helps you. They pretty much teach you almost anything you want to learn. I mean, mathematics and science are the major things, but I think they even go through reading comprehension. They do taxes. They do all kind of stuff.
It's an education stuff.
Exactly.
Education, right?
And the guy, his name is Saul. He actually was a hedge fund manager. So he dealt with investments before. He ended up moving to California, and this thing started kind of organically with his family. And he kind of approached his wife like, you know what? I think I want to quit my job and do this full time and just let it do its thing and see what happens from it. And I think that if you can set a plan, you know, let's say if you're working now, maybe just set a plan. If you want to start your business now, give yourself, okay, I'm going to give myself 5 years. I'm going to give myself 10 years. Let me set myself up in a position to where my bills are covered for a certain period of time at least, so I can work on this other thing and just go all in.
And go all in. And you got to understand that this guy was I'm not in this guy's pockets, but he was a hedge fund guy. And he had the capital to start this. You know, he didn't just go out there and say, well, I'm tired of my boss being basically my daddy, and just say I'm gonna jump out in the water with no plan at all. I think you have to strategically plan your every move. It's like you're playing chess. Life isn't checkers, it's chess.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to strategically plan. Dame is in a position where he can say the things that he says, but you also got to give the people a solution.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that bothered me was that he made it seem like if you're working a 9 to 5, you know, you're not doing what you're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's necessarily true, because sometimes you're working a 9 to 5 to get to the next level. And I think that stems from the fact that he never had to work a 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's like, and it's not his fault. You can't think in the mind state. And I think that's where his frustration comes from, because he's like, yo, you guys are stuck in these 9 to 5s, because he can't relate to the 9 to 5 mind state.
And you got to also factor in, these people might not be on a strict 9 to 5 schedule because he's not, but he still has employees, whether he wants to factor that in or not.
Yeah.
Anyone that, I mean, he has PGTV. He's doing these Dash Studios. You know, if he hires a camera crew to record the movie, they're on staff. Like, you can't get around the concept of an employee. I think the greater thing that he's trying to get across is just like, do you want to be the employee or the employer?
Don't be content with being an employee.
Exactly.
Just don't sit there and say, well, I'm an employee. Because let me say this again. The message is great. Invest in yourself to invest in your future, because being rich is one thing, but building wealth is a total separate entity.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you guys, building wealth is a total separate entity. And you got to understand that building wealth is going to take investments and investing in yourself. And I think that's the point that Dame's trying to get across to people, is like, hey, you got to invest in yourself. But the way that you present the material is crucial. Because let's say, for instance, man, I said, I'm going to give you a new Cadillac Escalade. And I have one that's been driven through the snow, and I have one that's off the showroom floor. They're both the same vehicle, no mileage on either one of them, all the same options, the same color and everything. Which one are you going to pick?
The one off the showroom floor, most likely.
You're going to pick the one off the showroom floor. You're going to be like, why do I want this dirty one when I can get this clean one? But the guy said, no. They're both the same vehicle. But you still say, well, okay, I still just want the clean one.
Mm-hmm.
It's the presentation. That's what it is, right? So when you're coming across to people who are working, right? Because callers called in after the show, and a lot of people were saying, well, I work a 9 to 5. He made it kind of belittled the blue collar American, because what wasn't said in the interview is that the middle class support the economy. They really do support the economy. They support it by the money that they spend. They support it by the housing market. The economy is supported by the middle class. So 9 times out of 10, these middle class are working people, right? And we're not just saying, okay, be content with going to work. But what we're saying is Dame Dash has a valid point. And what I'm saying is that it gets clouded by the way he delivers.
He's kind of got like a Kobe situation going on, where
Kobe situation,
or a Lakers, where you hate him or you love him. You know, a Dallas Cowboys, you hate him or you love him. And I think that Dame Dash kind of has that appeal on people. Either people are all in and they like, man, Dame was hitting the nail on the head, or some people are just kind of like, man, Dame was just rude. Like, that was crazy for him to say stuff like that. I don't really feel like there's any in between.
Yeah. So we need to get the people in the middle to understand both sides. Because explain these people who are all in with the Dame Dash theory. Where are they getting this capital from? Where are they getting this money to start these businesses?
I mean, I think that a lot of people that are gun-ho with the whole all-in situation is they have the mindset as well, and maybe they're entrepreneurs in themselves. However, they got to where they are. I think it's to focus more on the mind state and trying to make things move. I mean, it's kind of like you know, I work a 9 to 5 now, but we have Black Market Exchange, and Black Market Exchange, you know, it was just like, this needs to go out there, and even if it's like, if the information is free, it needs to be out there. Now, if God will bless us into where we can monetize from it, that's great. You know, we would like to be able to do it full time to where we don't have to have those other 9 to 5s. But at the end of the day, I think it's just the mentality of wanting to do something and getting and starting that process.
And that's right.
You gotta. I think it's really the key is that you just gotta start. And I think that those are the people that are all in are the ones that have started, because there are a type A and type B personality, and I think that of course Dame is a type A, so people with type A are going to associate that way, and people with type B might not. And I mean that's why you have an employer and employees. We might be a capitalist society, but if everybody was owning businesses, it's almost kind of like who's buying. I think Fabulous said that one time. It's like if everybody's bosses, who's the employee or something.
Who's the employee? So you got to look at it like this. And I work a 9 to 5 as well, right? But divine intervention came into play, and God blessed us to have the idea to think outside of the box. I think Dame Dash is trying to get this point across that you guys, me included, Eric included, we cannot think like an employee all the time. You can't think like that all the time. Sometimes you got to think like a boss. Sometimes you are the employee. Me and Eric, he came to me and I said, well, I have this knowledge. Why not share it? Why not share it? Why are we always the ones on Twitter, but we don't invent the Twitter? Why are we always the ones on IG showing off what we have, and we don't invent the IG? And
I know we're going to get into Twitter later, but I just want to mention, it's a good point you mentioned about why we don't invent the Twitter. I listened to Stanford has this they have a podcast himself, and Jack Dorsey, who was one of the co-founders of Twitter, was on there. And if you listen to his story about how Twitter came about, basically he said as a kid growing up, he was always into maps. So he would put maps on his wall in his room, and he would try to pinpoint, okay, there's a McDonald's on this corner, and this is where this is at. And he's from St. Louis, actually.
Okay.
So he said that his parents used to have those radio tuners you could listen to the police calls, the ambulance runs, and things like that. And his mind started going, how can I kind of have that live feed with the map? It's like it's up to date location, up to date information.
Okay.
So as he got older, he was working for companies, and he said he was one of the first people that had Blackberries when the SMS text messaging system came out. So he blended the little CB scanner thing where you get those live updates with the instant text message, because a text message is between people. It's instant contact between people without calling them. But those CB scanners are more of on a for this sake we'll say global scale, where you're getting news about stuff that's going on around you. He blended the two together. So he took the idea of a CB scanner with BlackBerry's text messaging and his concept of maps, knowing where stuff is and what's going on all the time, and just put them all together. The dude said he taught himself how to program at age 10 when the Mac came out.
Wow.
And he just put all that stuff together. But it's that thought process. It was something simple that we see all the time, and he made Twitter out of it.
Yeah, it's a whole it's a collage of outside of the box thinking. And I think that was a great example, and I think that's what Dame is trying to get people to do. He's trying to get people to say, hey, you're thinking like an employee. See, I think that's what the point he was trying to get across to DJ Envy is like, yo, you're thinking like an employee. Because he mentioned on there, he was like, you are the Breakfast Club, but you don't own it. He was like, but you guys you are the ones who make it what it is. Yeah. So he was like, why don't you guys just go off and do your own thing?
Make your own radio show.
Make your own radio show. But we're so in this mind state of, okay, I don't want to step out on faith. I don't want to go out on my own. I won't have this or I won't have that. Then we tend to say, okay, and when I say we, I mean people in general. We tend to say, okay, I'm going to stick with the safe thing. I'm going to stick, this is safe, this is cool, I'm making people money, but I'm making money also. But you have to think out of the box, man, because that's one of the first things when we met, I told you, I was like, is the company that you work for, is it traded? No. Yeah, so, and when you said that, I was like, the reason why I asked you is because you should get into the employee stock purchase plan. And that's how our conversation kind of sparked, and it led to the Black Market Exchange. And it also, because we're going to talk about a lot of stuff on this podcast. but it keeps going different places. But we're gonna come back to this Dame Dash thing, but we also wanted to talk about like how that stock employee purchase plan helped me and my wife eliminate some things that we had to do in our lives.
I just want to make a quick point that with the way to really check to see if your company is on the stock market is, first of all, you want to know, is your company a for-profit or a non-profit? Mm-hmm. If you're going to be a non-profit company, you're not going to be on the stock market. That's just not how it's going to work. But if it is a for-profit, then it's a good chance it will be. Uh-huh. So you have a company like a Ford is for profit. It's on the stock exchange. Mm-hmm. You know, so wherever you work at, if you're a cashier at McDonald's is for profit. It's on a stock exchange somewhere. Yeah. You can invest in it even as an employee. So even if you're a cashier at McDonald's, you should see, do they have a stock purchase program? Can I buy stock at McDonald's? Right.
And let me tell you something about the employee stock purchase program. 9 times out of 10, every company has a purchase program, but you just have to ask about it. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to give you that information because a lot of people don't know that they even have that option. And the first thing about the employee stock purchase program that I want to say is that most companies, if you work for them, they give you the stock at a discount. So when you purchase the stock, you have already made a profit, because they give it to you at a discount and you can sell it for what it is trading for on the market.
So give an example.
So let's say you work for McDonald's, right? What's McDonald's trading at? Let's do some homework.
McDonald's is in the 90s range. It's almost at it's trying to break 100, but it seems to be struggling. McDonald's right now is at $97.13.
So I'm Joe Blow, and I work at McDonald's, and I'm a cook at McDonald's, right? And McDonald's, let's say McDonald's Corporation, they offer a employee stock purchase plan, right? What they will do, and this is an example. So that case scenario, it would be, they would say, okay, if you purchase our stock, we'll give it to you at a discount. Mm-hmm. So like maybe 5%. 5% discount. So let's say whatever the discount is, whatever it may be, it's trading at 97. Let's say they give it to you for 95.17, mm-hmm. right? Once that stock is purchased, it is yours. You can trade it how you feel. And you have made a profit of $2 depending on the stock market right at inception, right there. Mm-hmm. You made a profit of $2 right there. People say, well, $2 that ain't anything. Okay, I'm Joe Blow, and I say, well, I want $25 taken out of each check, right? And I worked there for a year. So I got me some shares now. Now I'm invested into McDonald's. And I'm looking at the stock market, and I'm like, okay, I'm looking at the ticker every day to see if it's going up or going down, right? Mm-hmm. Because I got it at a discount, and I said, let's say it hits 99. I'm like, wow, my company is doing good. You can trade that. Not only did you make a profit on the market, not only did you learn about the market, not only did you learn about the ticker, but you made a profit because you got it at a discount. We got to start looking into these things.
And make sure to shout out Black Market Exchange to your friends. Yes. Once you find out about this stock purchase program, you like, hey, yo, son, I'm about to get these ducats out here because B-Mex is hitting with these gems.
Yo, we dropping gems on you, man. You already made a profit, man. If you work at an employer that is traded on the New York Stock Exchange, please check into the employee stock purchase program immediately. Immediately, homeboy. Immediately.
Now, what happens if you leave the company and you have these shares of stock? Do you keep them? Do you have to sell? You know, kind of like if you have a 401k with a company, you're usually going to have to roll it over or get it cashed out. So what would be the situation if you were to leave the company but you own the stock?
You own the stock. Flat out. You own the stock. If you leave the company, so Joe Blow, I worked there a year, I got my stock on a discount, I'm leaving with my stock. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You don't even, you buy it through your broker, you still keep your brokerage account, you own it. So whenever you want to sell it, if you want to pass it down to your kids, if you want to pass it down to your grandkids, whatever, if you want to give it to your wife, if you want to give it to whoever you want to give it to, you own it. You know, 401ks you have to roll over, but when you buy stock, in an employee stock purchase program, it is yours outright. And that's something we need to know about. If you don't know about that thing, you're missing out. You're missing out on investing in yourself.
And another way that you can actually check to see if your company at least has a stock is a lot of times you can go on a company's website and they have an area called investor relations. So if you go on, if you go on any department store or restaurant and you see where they have, homepage, about us, menu page, whatever, there's usually a tab. And a lot of times too, see, they try to keep it from folks sometimes. They'll put the tab on the bottom.
Yeah.
Where it had like copyright and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it'll say investor relations. And as soon as you click on it,
Ding,
boom.
ding, ding.
It's a whole bunch of stuff. You can see the company's financial reports. How much did they make the last 3 months? How much did they make last year? You can find out how much Apple made off the iPhone, the iPad, the iWatch that's coming out. You can find out individually how many units did they sell. You can find all that stuff out.
In investor relations, and how many times have you been to? And if you own a Mac, a lot of the times your homepage, as soon as you hit Safari, is the Apple website.
Mm-hmm.
How many times have you went to a website, ladies, to buy shoes, guys to buy kicks? You went to Nike ID, you ID'd you some kicks, or girls, you went to such and such Louboutin website or anything and didn't even know that there was an investor relations tab. You gotta, the Hip Hop Stock Doc just dropped a gem on you guys.
And the key that CP said was, when it's taken out of your check, you don't really miss it. And I think that's the key with when you participate in a retirement program at your job, or even your insurance for that matter.
Yeah.
It's already being taken out, so you don't miss it. And that's what you need to do. You need to treat it as if it's like a bill, and it's already gone. It's already gone. So if you take out that $25 every paycheck, you won't, after a couple times, what they say, it takes 21 days to make a habit or something like that.
Yeah.
After 3 weeks, you're not even going to realize that 25 is gone anymore.
You're going to come accustomed to that 25 being gone. You've already budgeted that 25 not being there.
And that could even, when we did the Mickey D effect, when we said, you can take the money, do that, that could be your option. Instead of you having to physically do it and it making it hard on you, like, man, I got this cash over here, I don't know how to keep it on me. Just take advantage of the stock purchase program, and it's already taken out, and you can continue to do what you were doing with your disposable income because you already accounting for the investment side.
You already got that on lock.
Now, you might want to get into some other investments, but at least that could be your starting point.
That's your starting point, because you're going to get a statement. You're going to start to know what a QSIP is. You're going to start to get a dividends check, whatever it may be. Sometimes,
that dividends check gonna come, and they're gonna be like, "What is this?
What is this?
What is this?" They didn't even know.
You don't even know. And when we say that dividends check is gonna come, it's not gonna be out of this world. It may be. Sometimes I get dividends checks for like $3. I may have some shares over here. Oh, it paid a dividend. I got like $3. But you know what? That's $3 I can go deposit, because the bank doesn't care if it's $3. They're gonna let me deposit that.
Yep.
And over time, those dividends checks add up. Over a year, you get like $100 in dividends.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, now I can go out and I can actually buy another share of quote unquote McDonald's.
And the thing that you want to take into account is when you're looking at these companies and how well they're doing under investor relations, if you factor in McDonald's has been struggling to break that $100 mark again. I think they hit it one time and they've just been struggling to break it. What happens when companies tend to get fairly stagnant? They bump their dividends up.
Yeah.
Because they want to keep investors happy. Our stock isn't increasing in share price, so let's give you some more money on the back end to keep you satisfied and keep you investing with us.
Yes, because the stockholder in a publicly traded company, the stockholder is key, because they want to keep the stockholders' interest keen. So those dividends will tend to bump up if the stock is stagnant. So if the stock is just staying there, and talking about McDonald's is suffering right now from what I call a food identity crisis. They can't really find their niche into what food people are into these days. Because, if you want a hamburger, you go to places like, Five Guys, or you go to In-N-Out Burger that specialize in they have these niche hamburger spots. And then if you want chicken, you may go to Cane's or something like that if you're in the South, or, it's just different parts and moving parts to this mechanical machine. But you go to McDonald's, you got the Big Mac, and it's got all kinds of sauces, and then all this bad pub, and all this, people like, what are the nuggets made out of, and pink slime. People are like, nah, you know what? I'd rather see them put my burger on a grill, and I can add the toppings I want to, because they're catering to me. So with the stock price being stagnant like that, you know what the investor says? Hey, why should I stay here? Why should I stay here? So their dividends increase. So that's giving the investor something to hold on to before there's like a massive sell-off. It's like, this stock has been, stagnant for years now. Not saying any one particular stock has been stagnant for years, but if a stock is stagnant for years, investors are like, okay, what am I investing in this for? But that goes back to the dividends, and when you're invested into a certain stock, you do get those dividends.
And in talking about a stock staying stagnant, we recently did a Teaching Thursday on portfolios. We talked about what a portfolio is, because we always throw that term out there. So we want to do a Teaching Thursdays on what a portfolio is, why is it important, what is encompassed in a portfolio. And one thing you want to take into account is, with your portfolio, you always want to do what we call rebalance, where you look at your investments. So if your stock is becoming stagnant, maybe they're not increasing their dividend, you want to go back to your portfolio, see what's not performing the way it should, and rebalance. And rebalance simply means adjust. So now, okay, let's say I got 10 shares in this company. It's not really doing what I want it to do, but I still want to hold on. Let me sell 5 shares, and let me buy 5 shares or 10 shares, whatever the equal amount of money may be in another company. That's rebalancing. You can do that on a daily if you want, but a lot of times, people might do it every 3 months. They might, however your structure wants to be. If you're holding stocks for a long period of time, you might want to just let it run, come back, check on it 3 months later, and then do a rebalance.
And I suggest doing a rebalance like every 6 months, because that gives you you can do it every 3 months, and that's a great time frame because it goes along with the fiscal year.
That's why I mentioned it.
Yeah, so it goes along with the fiscal year. But I look at it, the reason why I look at it every 6 months is because there's a beginning of the year price, and then there's an end of the year price. I always look at it like that. So I can kind of gauge, okay, at the beginning of the year it's doing this, and different companies are going to do good at the beginning of the year, and different companies are going to do better
like
at
retail.
the end of the year. So like, that's why I do it in 6 months intervals, because everything that's retail in my portfolio, I'm gonna stock up on that at the end of the year, because that's retail's run.
Black Friday,
Christmas, their sales. Retail, they're depending on the end of the year to make the bulk of their cash. That's when their run will be the best. So that's when I say, you know what? Let me rebalance. What retail am I holding, and what vacation stock? Maybe I'm holding Walt Disney, and I say, well, I can switch that over, play with that over here at the end of the year, pick that back up at the beginning of the year, get all the people who are going on vacation, maybe the Six Flags stocks, because spring break is coming and stuff like that, and stock up on those at the beginning of the year. Now, these are just examples, and these are just my personal preferences.
And let's say these are examples. Now,
because we educate, we don't give financial advice.
And let's say for example, you made money off of some theme park attraction stocks like Disney. How would you pay for a trip to Disney World or Disneyland?
Well, let me tell you, Hip Hop Stock Doc, you would pay for that trip by the investments that you made in that company.
Granted, you had a decent return.
So say you picked it up, you earned, maybe $5 a share, that may be your park money. That may be your park money, saying, you know what, I can sell off.
Because you know Disney actually bumped their prices up. I was looking at something the other day, and I think Disney World bumped their prices up like $2 a person. Disneyland's like up $3. I think Magic Kingdom, all of them bumped it up. It's just a couple dollars, but that stuff adds up when you got 3-4 kids.
The most visited theme park in the world. So $3 at the most visited theme park in the world is a lot of revenue that they are generating. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you can use the investments that you make throughout the year to cover some of the expenses and the things that you want to do throughout the year. You don't have to necessarily always come out of your pocket. You can say, you know what, I got some shares here that I'm willing to sell to go on vacation. Mm-hmm. I've invested. You have put money in there, but you also made money off of it. So you can say, you know what? Let me go ahead. I got a good return on these. Let me go ahead and just sell these off, and I can take my family on a vacation. Or when Christmas time comes around and the $200 J's come out, I think they're gonna be $220 this year. You say, my kid's been good. He's on an honor roll, or however you gauge that. Mm-hmm. You say, well, let me get these, and it's not out of my. It's out of your pocket, but it's not out of your personal pocket. It's out of your portfolio pocket. And that's the new term, people, our portfolio pockets. We can spend out of our portfolio pockets while we are building wealth.
And of course, your principal amount that you put in there, that's going to be from your money. Yeah. So I know everybody's going to think like, well, if I had to put the money to invest, isn't it me paying for it anyway? In essence, it is, but you got to think of the growth potential that's going to come from it. Yeah. If a stock is going to gain 10% and you invested $100, you made $10. Yeah. Well, if you got 10 of those shares, you just made $100. Well, that's one admission to Disneyland.
That you got for free, basically.
So that's what I'm saying. So even though, let's say you saved up on the outside, or even if you are going to pay from your portfolio, you've made that $100. Well, you can pull out however much money you need to pay for everyone in your team, but at least you know that one of those persons, in essence, is getting in for free.
And that's right. You got to look at it like this. It's not, it is basically your money. We're not telling you that, if you invest, you're going to get all this free money. No. What we're trying to do is build better investment habits. Mm-hmm. So you don't even have to spend it. You don't have to say, you know what, I'm going to cash in my shares, I'm going to sell shares here, or I'm going to do this or do that. You don't have to follow that route. What we want you to do is get into a mindset, like Dame Dash was saying, that, okay, I'm invested, I made $100 over here. That's $100 that I didn't have. Even if I don't pull my shares out and I spend my own cash that I saved up throughout the year, I still have this extra $100 in my portfolio. So whether you sell the stocks or not, the $100 to get into Disneyland, Disney World, it's already covered.
Mm-hmm. And one thing Dame always says is, like, I don't keep cash, man. I don't keep cash.
I keep money in the streets.
I keep it in the businesses. So if you think about it, instead of, everybody always wants to see, pictures on Instagram and on Facebook with money and stuff like that. But if you keep it in your portfolio, like, you don't keep cash on you, but it's still available. You can always cash that stuff off. And to even go back to the whole rebalancing and seeing how well the stock's performing, you mentioned about rebalancing every 6 months. One thing, even if you don't even want to look at every 6 months, a way to gauge it, if you just want to say, I'm going to invest, I'm going to let it ride every year. Every January 1, I'm going to buy some stock, I'm going to let it run. And come December 31st, you look at it. And all you need to do is look at some of the benchmark indices. You got the S&P 500, which is just 500 of like the biggest companies. Like, that's probably the number one benchmark for how to gauge like the stock market is doing. Mm-hmm. But most of the times when you're watching some of these like CNBC or some of these shows, they're talking about the S&P 500 and they're equating stocks to that. And then you're going to have your NASDAQ composite. You're going to have the Dow Jones, the Russell 3000 and 2000, which is the small cap, smaller company stocks. Yeah. What you can do is find out what company you're investing in and see which indexes or indices that they're in, engage it. Because at the end of the year, you're going to track, okay, the S&P grew 10%. How much did my stock grow? My stock grew 15%. Maybe I should keep that. Yeah. My stock only grew 5%. Maybe I should sell that and buy something else.
That's right. And you got to get out of this mentality of having money in your hand is having money. That's not it always.
And we not knocking the emergency fund,
We
but
not-
just to
yeah,
have
yeah.
$100K in your savings account, what's it doing if it ain't getting no interest?
If it's not getting any interest or anything like that, what is it doing in there? And we're not even knocking emergency fund or putting money into your savings account. I'm talking about what you mentioned, Instagram. You got $10,000 on Instagram and it's in your hand. When the money is actually physically in your hand, it's not making money. Mm-hmm. We need to have a mindset of, okay, this money should be making money at this point. All the people that you see on Instagram with piles of money and they have money all in their hands, that money at that moment, and I'm talking about literally at that moment, could be making money. Mm-hmm. If you had 5,000 shares in Apple last June, dude, that 5,000, scratch that, not shares, because we don't even think that big yet. Let's break it down a little bit. If you had $5,000, right, and you invested that in Apple last June when it's split, right, mm-hmm. you would have made that bread back plus some. Yeah. And you would be looking to make even more bread, because when the Apple Watch drops, the stock price is going to go up. You can't think as a consumer every time. Sometimes you have to think as the corporation. Man, everybody's like, oh, Apple's about to drop this Apple Watch. And they're like, well, I like it or I don't like it. Mm-hmm. Whether you like it or not, it's going to sell. And that stock price is, guess what it's going to do? It's going to increase. That's what I'm betting on. It's going to increase.
Yeah.
It's not going to go down. I don't think it's going to go down. Maybe it'll go down, but I don't think so.
But the whole point of, and why Black Market Exchange is so big on investing, is that over time. So you have to get that concept
That's
of
right.
over time. In the past 20 years, on average, the S&P 500 has gained 10%. On average.
On average. So
it might be 5% one year and it could be 15% the next year. But on average, the past 20 years, 2 decades, it's increased 10%.
So that means 20 years ago, the person who put the money in has gained an average of 10%.
Mm-hmm. And that's compound. That's not you put $100 in, you get $10 every year.
Yeah.
If you put $100 in, you get $10. Now you get $110, so you're gonna get 10%, so you're gonna get $11.
Yeah,
that's it's compound.
That's compound interest. And when you say compound interest, that's the money that you made. Now is you get the interest on the money that you made.
Exactly.
That's in layman's terms. So you get the interest on the money that you made.
And that's if you put the $100 in there and nothing else.
Imagine
else. You put $100 in every year.
Yeah, and with us here at the Black Market Exchange, we want to. That's why we felt it necessary to talk about the Dame Dash situation, because he is trying to get people to actually come out of this mind state of thinking one way. You can't think one way. You have to be open to options. Mm-hmm. You have to be open to say, you know what?
Explore your options. You got to be open to do those things, because you know what? If you're just holding money in your hand and you're showing it on Instagram and you're going out and buying Jordans and you're going out and you what you are at this point is the only thing you are is a consumer. Mm-hmm. And we're trying to get you from consumer to investor, and then from investor to consumer. Because once you're an investor, you consume differently. Yeah, you're right.
You just do. You can't go. If you're a consumer and you're a consumer only, we want to move you to consumer to investor. So once you become an investor, you say, you know what? You're gonna start to notice that you consume differently.
That's what, everything we talk about. I mean, I don't think people understand that a lot of this is just organic stuff. We see something that might have happened in the news, and we take it and we run. Like that's literally what happens.
It happens
because as an investor, we're thinking now I'm an investor. Now as a consumer, how am I going to view this?
Yeah. So if you gotta look at it like this, I'm gonna break it down a little bit further when I say this. So, like, if you like shoes, right? I'm a shoe guy. I like shoes. So, if you like shoes, you say, okay, last month was February, right? Nike everybody came out with a slew of shoes. Adidas, everybody. Didn't the Yeezys drop in February?
I think so.
Okay, so you like shoes, but if you're consumed with only purchasing shoes and not in the corporations that are making the shoes, I think that we at Black Market Exchange, you're our target audience because we want to make you think outside of the box. We want to make you think. We want to make you think as an investor, because an investor would say, "Wow, that's a lot of shoes dropping in this month. I'm going to make some money in my portfolio if I'm holding Adidas, if I'm holding Nike."
And one thing, see, I've been getting hit up, particularly on Instagram, about people have, like, they love what we're doing, and we appreciate the support for Black Market Exchange.
We thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it. It is a godsend, and it's a blessing for us to be here to bless somebody else.
But what they're saying is people have now taken the step to getting a brokerage account, which is just an account for them to be able to invest, which is a great first step. They've like, okay, I feel like I'm learning. Now I'm able to do it, but I haven't quite hit the button just yet to buy something. And when you mentioned about you like shoes, that goes to the point. Look at what you like.
Yeah.
Look at your everyday surroundings. Just take a walk around your house right now or when you get home and just look around. What is in there? Do you see a bag of chips? Oh, that's Frito-Lay. I really like Lay's. Yeah. So let me check out Pepsi, because who owns Frito-Lay? It's going to be Pepsi. So, that's what we say, like, find out what it is that you like, that you know, whatever the case may be, because the companies that you may not know will come.
Yeah.
They will come.
And pick up on the everydays. Like, so if you like, let's stick with Frito-Lay, right? So if you like Frito-Lay, right, pick up on, when I say the everydays, I mean the everyday things that are happening with that company. So Frito-Lay has this contest every year that they have the consumer pick a chip. You send in what flavor and the consumer picks the chip. So the consumer picks the flavor and they pick a chip and they put it out at the market. That is a marketing plan. Right? Because they say, you know what? You are our consumer. I'm not consumer, forgive my English, but you are our consumer. So you know what? You pick the flavor that you would like to taste. Out of all these flavors, we'll pick the best. And you know what? We'll let you vote on the flavor. Right? Guess what? That generates so much interest in Frito-Lay. So, if you just opened your brokerage account and you say, well, I like Frito-Lay, I like chips, buy one share of Frito-Lay and watch how it does.
And the key is this, too. See, the key is you don't necessarily try to buy on the hype. You want to really try to get in before. Like when you mentioned about buying retail companies at the end of the year, you have to factor in Black Friday is in November, and then you have Christmas in December.
Yeah.
Look in August and September, because that's when nobody's checking for them.
Yeah.
So find out when a Frito-Lay is having this thing. If it's annually, it's most likely going to be around the same time. Yeah. When is it? Is it in May? Let me try to look at Frito-Lay back in February. Oh, but the Super Bowl's in February too. And Pepsi sponsored the Super Bowl. So do I need to look back in December? Like, these are the things that you want to see so you can get in, and now it's going to become a long-term investment. But you're already forward thinking. You're already buying in December, thinking about the Super Bowl is in February, and this chip-a-thon, whatever you want to call it, is in May. I can sell in September, take my profits, and buy in again in December, because it's going to happen all over again. It's cyclical. All over again.
And I'm glad you brought that up, E. Because we want you guys to think long term. When we tell you about looking at the everydays, looking at what's going on with the company, or how the stock is performing in December versus January, the beginning of the year versus the end of the year, we want to get you into an investment mind state. We don't want you to be buying and selling on whims. We want you to say, hey, the stock is going to do this at this time of the year because of this, fill in the blank, and the stock is going to do this at this time of the year because of this. In the latter part of the year, the retail stocks will be better because of the sales. In the beginning of the year, people are trying to save, they're trying to recoup from December, so retail
or even
stocks
have tax refunds, so they still might stay up. You know?
Still might stay up. So you know what? We have the stock is going to look this way, but we want you to look at that not because you want to sell, because you want to know when to invest in the company, when to hold the stock, and when to get rid of the stock.
And think about it. We didn't, we've talked about financials, but we didn't say anything about how much money they made. We didn't say anything about, I'm looking at the chart. And we didn't do any of that. We just put two and two together. We said this. We judged our investment off of the Super Bowl and the Chipathon. That's it. That's it.
And that's what you guys can do. We don't want you to go out there to buy stock on the Super Bowl and the Frito-Lay Chipathon, the where they name the chips. We want you to look at the stock during these times. Look at the stock during the Super Bowl. Look at the retail stock during the end of the year. Get your mind get your mind into a mode of thinking where, okay, now I can see what this stock is doing, so I know when to buy low and sell when it's high.
Dude, Super Bowl, wings never sell more than on Super Bowl Sunday. Never
sell.
Now, I don't know if that's going to be Tyson's Foods, Wingstop, whoever. I don't think Wingstop on the stock market, but somebody got to own them. But I'm just saying, wings sell the most on Super Bowl Sunday.
So that's what we want you to do. We want you to look at Tyson Foods, right? Look at how the stock performs at the beginning of the year during the Super Bowl. You don't necessarily even have to buy it. Just look at how the stock performs so you can get an idea. You can say, okay, now we put you in a mind state of looking at everyday things to make wise investment decisions.
That's called Brent money, brother.
That's called Brent money. And when I say make wise investment decisions, that'll lead you into saying, okay, now let me look at the ticker. Now let me look at the financials. It leads you into deeper things. It's like when you get a gift on Christmas, right? It's in wrapping paper. First you take off the bow. Then you rip the wrapping paper. Then you see what you have, but it's in a package. So you got to take it out of the package. Then you got to open it up. Then you got to put it together. Then you have to play with it. It's levels to this. That's word to Meek Mills. It's levels to this thing.
Yeah.
But we want to start you off at the most basic level by looking at everyday things, looking at your surroundings, and then applying those things to your investment knowledge, man. That's what we're doing.
And since we applying more knowledge, let's apply this knowledge to our next topic on Twitter. So we were talking not too long ago about the progress and path of Twitter, not necessarily as an investment, but that tied into it later on, but just as a company in its direction.
Because we were having this discussion about Twitter, and I was saying that Twitter is a social media, it's a tech conglomerate, but the trend is moving away from Twitter and it's moving more to Instagram. Mm-hmm. And Twitter is becoming...
It's pretty much moved, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's already there. You know, some people... But I also was stating that Twitter isn't going to stay there because Twitter is becoming more of an outlet for news, immediate news. Because if something happens, CBS News or NBC can tweet it right then. And people are still getting there are people out there still getting their news from Twitter in the form of Twitter, but as far as it being a social media conglomerate in the pure sense of I'm on here socially, I think it's trending away from that.
It is, except it has its caveats where you're gonna have the whole is the dress black, what is it? Is it black and white? Is it blue and gold? When you have that, now on the more serious note, when you have the Oscars, when you have the World Cup, Twitter is jumping. Everybody's back on all of a sudden.
Everybody's on Twitter. So I think I don't think it will lose what it's there to do now. Yeah. Because Twitter is there now to it's to broadcast. Mm-hmm. And I don't necessarily want to make it indigenous to news because it's there to like you said, the World Cup. like when the World Cup is on, Twitter is on fire.
Mm-hmm.
Because people are like sleep when games are happening. People are at work when games are happening. And Twitter is going off everywhere. You're getting the news. You're getting it immediate. And how we're tying that into in investing is that, Twitter has this, what is the new...
Oh, so they actually purchased a company called Periscope, which is supposed to help with live broadcasting. However, there's actually an app that's already out called Meerkat. And Meerkat, in essence, is Snapchat. Name kind of rhymes, too.
Meerkat, Snapchat.
Yeah, but it's for the video side in broadcasting. So the way Meerkat works is you get the app. If you have... Now, you can only be an iPhone user. I guess iPhone always seems to be the first thing available for apps, and then Android kicks in.
That's right.
So if you're an iPhone user...
Apple is like the Nike.
So if you're an iPhone user and if you have a Twitter account, you can live stream whatever you're doing.
So you can live stream a podcast.
Yeah, we could do that right now if we wanted to. You can live stream whatever's going on from your phone, and it'll feed into your Twitter, and everyone that's following you on Twitter will get a notification. Just like if somebody tweets you, and you'll get a notification, hey, so-and-so tweeted you or retweeted you. You'll get a notification as a follower, hey, Hip Hop Stock Doc is doing a live stream right now.
Or Carter Park is...
Exactly.
Has said so. But does it disappear?
And they can tune in. Once the broadcast is done from whoever's hosting it, it disappears. Now, they say that you can save it to your phone. Just like, it's funny because the Snapchat, the pictures disappear, but I still see screenshots of it anyway. So if you screenshot it, the picture's not gone.
It's not gone.
But in essence, the app itself makes the pictures disappear. Meerkat works the same way. But you can live stream the broadcast, and I haven't used it just yet, but you can save it. But the Meerkat app itself isn't going to save it anywhere. So it goes away. So let's say, Yeezy was like, hey, I'm going to do a sneak preview. Matter of fact, remember when Kanye did that, it was like a concert where it was his picture shine on those walls of the buildings in like however many different cities? Yeah. He could do that on Meerkat. Let's say he did that, but through Meerkat on Twitter. He could do that, and it would never happen again.
And it would go to all his followers. That's
all his followers. And if you missed it, you missed it.
That's genius.
You'll never see it again.
Okay, wait a minute, because I think you just gave away a gem to somebody, right? I think you gave that
away
to somebody.
That's why the app is taking storm. They said they got 60,000 followers in 8 days, or downloads in 8 days.
Yeah, because you could say, for all people who are following me on Twitter, you get an exclusive video that I'm going to stream right now.
Right now.
Or all the people who are my dedicated fans, I'm going to give you a live show right now.
The decision. LeBron James could say, you know what? I'm doing the decision
and
right
all
now.
Of his followers.
Go on Twitter and it'll go to everybody. And he says, I'm signing with so-and-so, and boom, it's done.
That's so specific. That's great, man.
It's done. It's bringing the volume back.
That whole concept.
South by Southwest is going on right now, and apparently that's what's giving a lot of traction too. Because folks are at South by Southwest streaming, hey, I'm here, and all their followers are catching on. So it's gonna be the same essence. It's imagine it's like people are talking about the Oscars. Imagine these celebrities are at the Oscars. And now they're live broadcast streaming. Oh, I'm at the Oscars. Look who I'm sitting with. Instead of just doing a selfie.
Yeah, wow.
You're doing a video-y or something.
Whatever you want to call it.
You can say... a streamy.
So like they win the Oscar and you can say, yo, I want to personally thank all my fans. And you're live right there as he's walking up. He has his phone and he's taping himself as he's walking up.
You feel like you're right there, bro.
Wow, man. That's a great tool, man. And I think that if Twitter plays their cards right and implements this as they should, then it will bring people back to Twitter.
And so the thing that we were mentioning was, so Twitter, at least we felt, was a generational thing. Mm-hmm. One thing it seemed about Facebook and Instagram is that it seems to transcend all ages. Like your parents got on all of a sudden. It wasn't just for colleges anymore. But even though everyone's like, oh, my mom's on, I'm not going to use it, but you still do. Yeah. As much as you say you don't, you still do. Yeah. And you're using Instagram as well. And usually if you're using Instagram, you linked it to your Facebook, so you're going to post it on there anyway. Well, with Twitter, since Twitter's losing its luster.
It was basically losing its market share.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why this topic is on black market exchange today because Twitter was losing its market share to IG, to Instagram.
And see, when you factor in, so first of all, let me say, you factor in, okay, when Twitter first started and this age group was attached to Twitter, it's just like Vine. There's an age group that's attached to Vine. Even though Vine is around during our time,
but
it kind of came after because we were the Twitter and Instagram people.
Yeah, and now the Vine is more of the teen and those people.
Exactly.
And it's more.
Those
of a teen
people
thing.
weren't introduced, so our kids aren't even gonna know. Like in my personal opinion, Facebook and Instagram can still have that impact that Twitter won't have for my kids.
But okay, so when we're talking about market share, but will they be the sole proprietor of this technology?
Because for the Meerkat, or
well, just is Meerkat in a position where they can say, well, we have sole proprietorship over?
Well, that's the thing. So Twitter bought that company Periscope. Periscope is supposed to have been working on a similar thing where it's live streaming through Twitter, but they're in these beta stages, which is just the testing stage.
Yeah.
Well, the question now is Periscope going to be better? Can Twitter block Meerkat? I don't know how that works, but the question is Twitter too late to the party?
Yeah, they might
is Meerkat already going to get the audience where what happened was Instagram was around, Vine happened. Vine had videos. Everybody was jumping on Vine. What did Instagram do? We got videos. People canceled that Vine account. So what's gonna happen? Are people that are already using Meerkat, are they gonna be willing to switch over to this new Periscope? Or is Periscope gonna be embedded in Twitter where you don't even have to have a separate app? Because right now you have to have the separate app.
I think that's what they have to do, and
that's the only way.
I still don't think that people are gonna come back because I think it's
already taken over. The Meerkat's already taken this.
Yeah, I think the Meerkat is gonna be too strong for people. People like, okay, why go back to Twitter? Why deal with that? Even deal with that? I could just go to Meerkat and do that. And then because I have everything else I need on Instagram.
Well, so what's gonna happen is can Meerkat link it with Instagram? Because Instagram videos are only 15 seconds. Meerkat's longer than 15 seconds. It's a broadcast.
Yeah.
So that's where that difference in the videos comes into play. You're broadcasting. So we were saying how Twitter's kind of ushering out because now all this new generation aren't using Twitter. They're like, what is Twitter? I don't know what that is. But with Meerkat app out, it can bring it back. People are like, oh, I didn't know what Twitter was, but now I got to have one to use Meerkat. So let me go ahead and sign up, and it's going to drive volume back.
I think that would be generational, right? So I think the generation that didn't even get on Twitter to begin with are going to come up, and then they say, oh, well, I have to get on Twitter to get this.
But one of the things is that Instagram, like I said, is 15 seconds.
Yeah.
I don't know if people think this or not, but it's 15 seconds long enough.
Yeah.
People have to try to get so much. Sometimes I see videos on Instagram. I'm like, how did they get that in 15 seconds? Like, you got to be so creative to make it work. But if you can just live stream and then it disappears, because now you get exclusivity about it. Now it's like, did y'all see that Dame Dash interview? No, it was on Meerkat. You missed that?
You missed it. Yes, it's gone. But I also think that the 15 seconds is there for a reason because the attention spans.
Yeah.
The attention spans of certain generations and the attention spans of certain demographics. It's not just an age thing. It's different demographics. It's different people. Like a working person may not have, all day to sit up there and listen to, a Kanye West concert that's being brought to you on Meerkat. They may not have all day to do that. They might just say, hey, I can't, I'm going to have to miss it. It's gone. But then again, you have the situation where people are like, okay, 15 seconds, that's good enough for me, Or you have the situation where people are like, well, I want to do stuff exclusive for my fans. I want to do, you could be at the World Cup or be at the Oscars like we stated. All these things, I think that either the Meerkat and the what's the other one? The
Periscope.
Periscope, right? I think that they're gonna be a vehicle to get people to come to the standalone. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Okay, I know I kind of convoluted that statement, but either Meerkat is gonna stand alone by itself and do its thing, and you just go there for that. I have my Meerkat account for my exclusivity. things, or they're going to be able to integrate it where it will bring people back to Twitter. Because the power of that app and that technology is so paramount to say, I am a Twitter follower of Common, right? And you be able to share him winning an Oscar live, real time, and you get that for yourself. And if you're not a follower, you missed it, and that is something for his fans. I think that's great.
See, what's gonna have to happen is, and there's a social app that's like Twitter called Tsu, TSU, and it's almost kind of like a pyramid situation where you have these families, and so you invite people invite people to follow you, then they invite people and follow you, and the more people that follow you, like, you can get paid for people following you. Okay.
Word to Sue, the pyramid scheme app. I knew it was coming, and sometimes, man,
because everybody else, like, I've tested it out, and the way it works is everybody's on there just saying, "Hey, follow me." Yeah. Like, that's just kind of how it is. Like, everybody's trying to build it up. Everybody's really talking about nothing.
Everybody's trying to get paid.
But what they do is they pay celebrities to get on there and post.
Oh.
So they might get money off of the actual followers, but they pay them to post to get people in.
Yeah.
So the question is, will Twitter, even if it's working with this Periscope thing, will it do something to bring about Meerkat, or even with Periscope, will they do something to work with celebrities, athletes, to where they almost have exclusive rights to stuff going on?
Well,
so if Carmelo Anthony is doing a commercial or doing something over in Berlin, and he was like, "Oh, you gotta follow me on Twitter. I'm gonna stream it on Meerkat or something like that." That's the only way you can do it. People will drive back. I think that could be an option to even help them.
Yeah, because if you build it, they will come. If you have something exclusive like that, where Carmelo gets to go right to his fans, right to the consumer that buys his products, right to the consumer that they have bought into his lifestyle, I think for sure they will come back.
Because the point is that you don't know when it's happening.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to be signed up in case.
In case
you just gotta be ready.
And you have to you gotta be ready. So you know what? It's a thing when you mention Carmelo, when you mention these celebrities, they are taking the time, and I think they will look at it like, yes, I will sign up for this. Yes, I will be on there. Yes, I will stream exclusive content because I'm making an investment in myself. And on that note, you guys keep making investments in yourself. Keep the black market exchange handy. And what do they need to do, E?
Man, you need to go ahead and check out their website, www.thebmex.com. Make sure to sign up for our email list. Stay in contact. Go ahead, and also you can text the BMEX, that's THEBMEX in caps, to 84483 to receive content alerts and updates directly to your phone when we blast it out. Go through our website, see what we have. We have verse of the week. We got our Market Mondays, Teaching Thursdays, our Instagram, Twitter.
We got all kinds of useful information that you guys can use. We got all kinds of videos that are very helpful with your everyday investment. We have all kinds of what we got.
I was saying, just make sure that they comment.
Comment.
We appreciate the feedback. Comment, subscribe.
Comment, like, subscribe. Comment, like, subscribe. Let's get that chant going. BMEX, Black Market Exchange. We don't care what you guys put down there. We don't care what it is. If you like it, if you don't like it, we want your feedback. We love bringing this podcast to you guys. We think it's a blessing from on high that we get an opportunity to do this. If you like it, if it's something we can improve on, if it's something you want to know more about, if it's something that, that's outside of the box, out of the blue, put it in a comment, send us an email, do whatever you got to do. But, make sure you're involved and make sure you're engaged. And on that note, I am Carter Park, and
this is Eric Patrick, the Hip Hop Stock Doc.
Love life, love God. you know what? I messed that up. And we're going to keep it. We're going to keep it like that. Because live life, love God. That's how I end it. And on that note, we are